Welcome to SK Migration and Education Services. Today we are bringing a good news for South Australian international students who are residing in South Australia since 2012. So what happened today? Immigration South Australia has introduced some new changes to its general migration. If you're living in South Australia and you were unable to apply for any skilled visas earlier, then you may have a chance now. So to know these pathways, you need to see whole video and we'll explain how you can be eligible for South Australian GSM visa, General Skilled Migration Visa. So they're introduced three pathways. Number one is rewarding international students that has been long-term resident of South Australia. So if you've been living in South Australia at least since March 2012, so you may be eligible for this pathway. The second one is high-performing graduate categories for South Australian graduate who scored GPA more than 6 or average more than 5.2. So there are two categories of visas has been introduced for those high-performing graduates. Third one is removal of minimum bachelor degree requirement for under a chain migration category. So these changes will take effect immediately from today. So today is 28th of February 2019. So they introduced these changes today. Let's talk about these changes one by one. Number one, rewarding international student that has been long-term resident of South Australia. This is a long pathway. Long pathway doesn't mean that it will take longer to give you a visa. So this pathway means you are committed, you have been living in South Australia, you are South Australian resident. So for this category, South Australia will offer you nomination if you fulfill those three requirements. Number one, you either are current or former international student residing in South Australia. So you has been residing in South Australia since March 2012 or earlier. So say for example, if you moved to South Australia in 2013 or April 2012, you will not be eligible for this category. So you has been residing in South Australia continuously since March 2012 or earlier. That is a requirement. That is the main requirement. Third one is either you are currently working in South Australia for the last 3 months, the minimum hour requirement is 40 hours per fortnight or 20 hours a week, or you are studying a course with minimum durations of 1 academic year in South Australia. So let me say it again. So three main requirements. You have been living in South Australia since March 2012 or earlier. Number two, either you are current or former international student who are residing in South Australia. Number three, either you're working in South Australia for the last 3 months. You need to meet the minimum hourly requirement of 40 hours per fortnight. If you have not been working, then you are studying a course in South Australia, and the course should be minimum durations of 1 year, 1 academic year. Second pathway is high-performing graduate categories for South Australian graduates. This pathway is for high-performing graduates. So South Australia will offer nomination if you are a South Australian graduate with a bachelor degree or a master by coursework after South Australian bachelor degree. If you're a graduate, South Australian graduate, you may apply for the waiver of work experience requirement. To get the waiver of work experience requirement, you need to score GPA minimum of 6. However, if your GPA is not 6, then you will not be able to apply 190 visa. If your GPA is 6 or over and you are a South Australian graduate, then Immigration of South Australia can nominate you for 190 visa. However, if your GPA is less than 6 but more than 5.2, then South Australian government may offer you nominations for 489 visa. 489 visa is a provisional visa. And to get the waiver, you must have completed South Australian degree in last 2 years. If you have completed your South Australian degree, say for example in 2016, you may not be eligible for this pathway. You will not be eligible for this path. This is most relevant to students completing the course with the occupational skill assessment possible upon completion, such as accounting, engineering Australia, accounting, business and engineering Australia. For those degrees, you only need to fulfill your IELTS requirement or English requirement, and you can apply for full skill assessment. You don't have to show your work experience, so you can get benefits. So accountant can get best out of these if you are living in South Australia. The third one is removal of bachelor degrees. So chain migration pathway was already introduced by South Australia previously, but they had the minimum requirement was the bachelor degree. So now what South Australia has introduced, South Australia may offer you nomination for provisional visa, which is 489 visa, if you have eligible family member already residing in South Australia and your occupation is on the supplementary skill list. So South Australia Immigration removed the bachelor requirement, and now if you are a trade occupant, if you completed your trade occupation, trade course, then you may get benefit of this pathway, provided your eligible family member is residing in South Australia. You need to consider a few other things. This main is for the long-term pathway. So for applicants who want to apply the nomination because they've been living in South Australia since March 2012. If you're a former international student, former international graduate of South Australia, you must have completed a high course, registered course with a minimum durations of 46 weeks. If your course was less than 46 weeks, then you may not be eligible to apply for this pathway. Second one is, if you're currently studying, then the same requirement, 46 weeks. Apart from the requirements introduced by the Immigration South Australia, you must have met all the state nominations and Department of Home Affairs requirement. As per the application of stroke nominations, a valid skill assessment, English language test is required. For example, the minimum Department of Home Affairs requirement for English is Competent English, which is 6 bands in IELTS or 50 points in PTE. So you need to meet those requirements in addition to the requirement of Immigration South Australia. So you'll have to show the evidences that you remain in South Australia continuously since March 2012. This is including confirmations of various courses enrolled in, your visa subclasses held, your residency over time. Applicants who have lived, studied, or worked in another Australian jurisdiction for any period of time since 2012 will not be eligible. If you have moved to any other state and you moved back to South Australia, you worked there or studied to other state, you will not be eligible. Immigration will not verify your addresses. However, having said that, if you visited for a short period of times to home, you have holidays, you will not break the residency requirement, provided that evidence is continuous connection to South Australia. You'll have to provide continuous enrollment or employment or any relevant visa held. Alright, let's have a little bit summary. 3 pathways. Number 1, international students. Those have been living in South Australia for long term since March 2012. Second one is for high performing graduate categories. Third one is under chain migration. They removed the minimum bachelor degree requirement. So which is your categories? So if you need more information, you can contact us, Ask Immigration and Education, on oz@immigrationexpert@gmail.com. Good luck, folks. We hope you'll use these tips to make your dream a reality. If you need our assistance or if you need our help, then you can contact us. If you want us to make another video on more changes, or you can comment below. For more videos like this, you can subscribe to our channel. Thank you very much, or you can share this information this way who you know can get benefit out of this. Thank you very much and good luck.